Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. We now have fascism in Nigeria. Fascism in Nigeria. The linking of NIN, that's the National Identity Number, with your SIM cards that has just been implemented and will be enforced in the country is just a ploy by the federal government to have absolute control over every single one of us, the citizens of Nigeria. Now, fascism, for those people who may not really understand what I'm talking about, means a system of government that is authoritarian and is a totalitarian system, and there is no acceptance of dissent. That is, you are not allowed to disagree with the government. You are not allowed to protest. You are not allowed to do anything that might cast the government in bad light. That's exactly what we are heading into in the government of Nigeria right now. Now, just a couple of days ago, it was announced that you have to link your phone number, that is your SIM card, whether MTN SIM, Glo, whatever it is, you have to link it with your national identity number. And it is compulsory, and you have been given just 2 weeks to do it. It is by force. It is not something you do voluntarily. It will be like your SIM cards will be blocked if you don't comply with these after 2 weeks. Now, to ordinary people, they may just think that, okay, this is just a way for the federal government to be able to deal with the issue of crime. We have so much insecurity in the country right now. So, that it seems reasonable at first sight that that's basically what the government is just trying to do. But when you really think about it and you think about the circumstances surrounding this new development coming up, you understand that this is just a ruse. It is just a cover story. That it's not about cracking down on crime. It is about cracking down on you, the citizenry. It's about cracking down on Nigerians. I mean, is it a surprise that it's just few weeks, okay, at most, let's say 2 months from the EndSARS protest that we're having this? I mean, I told people back then that the federal government is not just going to sit down and take all this. Whether or not you are somebody who believes the protest was justified, or you don't think it was justified, whatever the case may be, you still have to understand that this is actually a response of the federal government against what happened back then. And the federal government is trying to prevent any such thing from happening again. Now, I understand that there were some properties that were destroyed, and those things are completely reprehensible. People shouldn't be destroying other people's properties. But the general idea of the protest, generally speaking, is what the federal government is cracking down against right now, because they see it as a threat to their regime. They see it as a threat to the legitimacy of the government, despite all the different corruptions in our government, despite all the different reprehensible things that our politicians are doing. So this is basically a way for them to protect themselves from any sort of criticism henceforth. So if there's going to be anybody now that is maybe going to be starting a movement online about facing the government, about demanding for things that may not be very comfortable for the government, all they just need to do now is to get where you are, because they have access to your SIM cards a lot more than before. Because of course we all understand that the SIM cards have been registered, but now they are going to do it in such a way that they link it to your national ID card. So it means that you have, your registration with the federal government is not linked to your SIM. They can actually track you anywhere you are at any moment. So if you are talking all sort of crap on the internet at any point in time, they can get you, they can arrest you easily more than before. I mean, we all understand what happened during the time of the EndSARS protest. And some of the protesters actually had their numbers and also their account numbers blocked. If you have your bank account blocked, it means that you can't do any sort of transaction. It means that you are actually caught in a wedge. They can control you a lot more easily. And now they are adding this one, which means they can actually track you. If anybody knows anything about tracking of vehicles, let's say that maybe your vehicle was stolen and everything like that, and you have to track the vehicle. One of the ways they do it is that they have a tracking device in the vehicle, and the tracking device has a SIM card in it. Now, this is one of the things they are going to be doing for us. It means you can be tracked live. That is, tracked live, directly, real-time tracking, real-time surveillance of the citizenry. That is what is going on. It means you don't have any sort of secret anymore. You cannot have a secret in Nigeria anymore. That's basically what they're trying to do. So if you are going to a particular place that you don't want some other people to know about, it does not necessarily mean that you're doing anything bad. You may want to do something that is sacred to you. It may be you want to do something that is something that your family members alone are the ones you would want to know about. But now the government can know about it. You don't have any sort of secret anymore. You don't have any sort of privacy anymore. That's what we all have to be concerned about, because it means that the government can weaponize these things against you. The government can decide to publish things about you that you didn't even know that they were monitoring you about. These are some of the things we have to understand. It's one of the things that the United States actually understands. It's one of the reasons why so many people in the United States don't trust the NSA. That's the National the security agency. I think that's what it actually means. That's why they don't trust those guys, because those guys are actually spying on Americans. It's one of the reasons why they took the head of the NSA to the Congress then to depose him in the Congress and other things like that. You have to understand this thing. These are the things that we all have to concentrate on. I understand that most Nigerians don't really care about freedom all that much, because we have this thing in our psyche. It has always been there since the time of the military era, that we have this sort of tendency to subject ourselves or to be submissive to authoritarianism, because we have had it in our system for so long. We had decades of it in the military era. So it is kind of still part of us in a way. It is still part of us in a way, which is one of the reasons why we actually take it when we have soldiers harassing citizens anyhow, which should not even happen. In developed countries, this is not what happens. You don't have the military harassing the citizenry anyhow. It shouldn't even be coming in contact with each other with the soldier. I mean, the regular citizens should not be having contact with the soldiers to start with. And then we have the police force, who should be protecting us. You have them being even worse, very corrupt and very terrible, which is one of the reasons or one of the things that led to the EndSARS protest in the first place. And now they are cracking down on everybody, trying to make sure that you can't even organize, you can't even do anything. Now, again, I've already said that there are some bad portions or some bad parts in the EndSARS protest, because there will always be bad people in any sort of protest. Just like they say, put 12 people together, you are going to get one Judas. So it's necessary. You are going to have a lot of bad people in any sort of organization, in any sort of congregation, in any sort of movement. It's essential. Like, you cannot avoid it. So that's it. So now that is what we are getting in this country right now. We all need to think about it. We all need to focus on it. Like, this is something that all authoritarian governments do. The USSR, when it was still the Soviet Union, Russia back then, they did this thing. They monitor you day and night. They monitor all the citizens. China right now is doing it. So that is one of the reasons why, if you are a Chinese citizen, you can't just see anything on the internet. You can't just do anything on the internet. You can't just you can't make calls and say anything. You have to be very, very careful. You have to be very, very careful, because they are monitoring you. You know, everything you're doing is being recorded. You know, everything you're doing is being tracked. They know where you are at any point in time, which is one thing they are going to be doing with this, because all they just need to do is to come into their database and, okay, so pressing on the database of the NIN, the Nigerian identity and whatever, they just track you with your phone at any point in time. They will know, and it does not matter the number of SIM cards you have. They can still track you, because everything will have to be linked to what? To that account. Instead of tracking different SIMs, they just have to track a single thing, which is one of the reasons why they're doing that. All they just need to track is just that NIN, and they can get you anywhere you are. So if you are being troublesome, or you are trying to protest, you are trying to cause any sort of problem for the government, know that you are going to be in a whole lot more soup this time around. It's going to be a lot more difficult for you to have anything even approaching the EndSARS protest anymore.